Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. You're watching The World Today and I'm your host, Omer Khalid. And we will be continuing our discussion as we have been in the last few days about the United Nations General Assembly's session that is going on. This is the 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly. And what is very important this time is that the issue of Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir has been highlighted over and over again by our Prime Minister Imran Khan while he met with the different organizations or the different heads of countries. Also, what's very important here is that US President Donald Trump has asked our Prime Minister to try to mediate between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and our Prime Minister has agreed to that he's mediating with Iran after Trump asked him to help with the issue. And apart from that, there's also the mediation. When we talk about the mediation, there's also the mediation between Pakistan and India that Donald Trump has talked about more than once. But mediation can only happen when both parties, that is India and Pakistan, want to involve a third party in this mediation process. And in this case, India does not want to involve any other party in this Indian-occupied Kashmir dispute, saying that it is a bilateral issue when in fact all the decisions have been taken unilaterally by India. And speaking of India, more than 50 days have passed by since the abrogation of Article 370 and 35A by the Indian government, and since then there is a complete clampdown in the Indian-occupied Kashmir region. 8 million people are under curfew. They don't have access to the basic necessities of life. On top of that, there are more than 900,000 troops that have been stationed in the Indian-occupied Kashmir region, and these troops are making life more and more difficult for the people of Indian-occupied Kashmir. But what will happen when the curfew will be lifted? And this is what the world is going to see. But there is an increased humanitarian crisis that is growing by every day, and this needs to be handled by the United Nations General Assembly, by all the members that are assembled in New York as we speak, because it has become a very important issue. Now, talking about mediation, we will be highlighting the mediation efforts that will be going on, whether it be Prime Minister Imran Khan, who has been asked by US President Donald Trump to mediate as far as Iran is concerned, or Donald Trump himself, who has said that he will mediate between Pakistan and India. And on top of that, when we speak of the United States, there's also this impeachment that has been brought forward by Democrat leader Nancy Pelosi as far as the situation in Ukraine and the meddlement in Ukraine is concerned. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. Let me introduce you to my guests for today's show. On my way right is Dr. Musarrat Amin. You are an international affairs expert. Thank you very much, Dr. Saiba, to have joined us. And our second guest is senior analyst Hamid Khan Sahab. Pleasure to have you on board set for this show. Let's begin with you, Dr. Musarrat Amin Saiba. Prime Minister Imran Khan says that he's mediating with Iran after Donald Trump asked him. When Donald Trump was asked about that, he said yes. In fact, that is true. How important, in your point of view, is the mediation by Imran Khan, knowing well that the current government has strong relations with Iran as well as with Saudi Arabia?
Thank you very much, Khalid. First thing, let me tell you that President Trump, he said that you have to mediate between Iran and United States. But we don't know what kind of mediation he needs, because they had already the deal, they cut with Iran, and they violated, they abandoned that deal. So what kind of mediation basically he wants from Prime Minister?
On one hand you ask for a mediation, on the other hand you revert back to a nuclear deal that you had signed.
Absolutely. So we have to know that what kind of mediation he wants. This is a huge responsibility. If he asks to Prime Minister, might be knowing the fact that now India is not, we know the history that they had that gas pipeline deal with Iran, Indians, and then they pulled out, and then now they are going to make that deal, an agreement with the United States, the shale gas, and then the gas, all the deals they are going to make with the United States. So India is not going to cut a deal with Iran. That is on the influence of United States, we all know that. And then what kind of role Iran is going to play in Chabahar, because Iran already said that they are going to connect Chabahar with Gwadar. This is very important. And if he said to Prime Minister Imran Khan that he has to mediate, it means he knows that now Iran is going towards Pakistan, might be having good ties, because Prime Minister Imran Khan...
Is he afraid of the Iran-Pakistan tie? Is that why he's asking to mediate?
We cannot say that he is afraid of, because United States is a big country, they cannot be afraid of.
Oh,
but
might be
if you know the history of Pakistan-Iran relations, that we are not enjoying basically good relations with Iran. So we have to, since Imran Khan, he is in the power, he is emphasizing that we want to have good relations with neighboring states, specifically with Iran, and then he went to Saudi Arabia as well. And you know, MBS already said that if United States asks you to mediate, then we want good relations with Iran, they should not sabotage relations with other states. So on one point, if you say that it's a huge responsibility on the shoulder of Prime Minister, and second thing, it means that Pakistan is going to play a very important role in this region in South Asia, and Pakistan is going to have good relations with Iran, which is good thing if Iran is going to be the part of CPAC.
It's very interesting, because on one hand you say Pakistan is going to have a very important role. Pakistan also has a very important role vis-a-vis the Afghan issue. Now the Afghan peace process, Hayat Khan, we remember very well, the US asked Pakistan to involve itself as well, to involve the Taliban, to ask them to come to the negotiating table. That happened, and then all of a sudden the US retreats, says no more negotiations. They pull a torpedo on these talks. Do you also feel that this help by Pakistan that has been demanded by the United States to mediate as far as US-Iran relationship is concerned, do you feel that could also backfire at any given moment, given in fact the past of the US President Donald Trump and how he has handled the different crises?
Exactly. What it is, we must appreciate that the situation in Afghan, there was no question from Taliban to come to dialogue without the help and without the efforts from the Pakistan government, especially. And then I do understand that the history of President Trump, that he can pull out anything any minute. As Prime Minister Imran Khan said yesterday, that even he came to know about the suspension of the dialogues between Afghan Taliban and USA just before the signing the agreement by a tweet. So it is how President Trump has its reputation. But the thing is, we must understand that it means that in the region now, America and other countries have understood the importance of Pakistan. When it comes to, either it comes to Iran or either it comes to Afghanistan issue or any regional issue. When it comes to that, now I would say the point when President Trump is asking for the mediation to Imran Khan is because the advantage of Imran Khan being good relations with Saudi Arabia, Prince Mohammed bin Salman.
And he met him before he went to the United States.
And he offered him his own private jet to travel, because it was His Excellency's nice gesture to show how good friendly relationships are there between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. While on the other hand, I mean, I would say that Pakistan government and present government is trying to have much better relations with Iran. And obviously, we all know that any war in the region would affect Pakistan as much as other countries as well.
True.
And we need to avoid that conflict. I mean, what happened during this last week attack in Saudi Arabian oil?
That Saudi Arabia blames Iran for it.
Exactly. They are blaming Iran. Iran is denying it. And Houthis have admitted that this is their, job to do it, and this is what they did. But the thing is, when it comes to the conflict, and when Iran has already said that if anything happens, if any attack or anything is going to be made by US or any allies, they will react it even worse than that. They will react it with, take it as a war. Pakistan, actually it is a time when I think world will understand the importance of Pakistan even better. Prime Minister Imran Khan, with his ability to mediate, bring up some solution for where he can, de-escalate the situation. Because at the moment, it's like we have seen the President Trump's speech on UNGA session, and it was quite long session. In between that, there was a period when he was emphasizing on Iran, and he was blaming Iran for...
Yes.
We have seen that what he said about Iran's terrorists and all that blames. So at that time, if President Trump is asking for Pakistan to play a mediation role, it is very important.
That he also kind of be neutral as far as his point of view on Iran is concerned.
And he knows that as Imran Khan is saying again and again, that war is not solution for anything. Either it's a matter of Afghanistan, either it's a Kashmir issue, either it's a Iran issue.
All right.
But the thing is, we must understand that Imran Khan has a quite good record to bring
people on the negotiation table.
All right. He has a good record for that.
Dr. Musarrat Amin, there's also an olive branch that has been put forward by either the Houthis or Iran itself that said that they want to kind of go forward as far as building up for a peaceful solution in the region is concerned. You've seen the statements that have come out from the Houthis, first of all, then from Iran. Do you feel this is also a good omen as far as building up to negotiations with the US is concerned and the mediation of Pakistan is concerned? Do you feel that all parties are willing to sit down on the table to diffuse this current tension?
Well, Omer, one thing is very important, that when we talk about that United States, they asked Prime Minister that he has to play a mediator and he can mediate between United States and Iran. One thing which I am emphasizing that first of all they have to tell, because in the conference, Prime Minister press conference, he said that I talked to President Rouhani and he did not go further. He did not say anything else. Just he gave the gesture that he met with. We are trying. Yes, what he said. It means that there are many concerns on the part of Iran as well, because they are betrayed by United States because they cut the deal, and you know that there were several rounds of talks and then P5 plus, and then they came and then basically it was a really hard time.
Not easy. Those were
absolutely
a lot of negotiations, and then the whole deal was signed, and you just can't retract on a deal just like that.
And whenever you go for negotiations and you are going to resolve some of the issues between the states, then and you cut a deal and then you are going to abandon that deal, it means that you are going to betray one state, and then you are losing your trust as well. And now it's very hard on the part of Iran that how they are going to trust again on United States. And on the other hand, they don't have, I already said that we are not enjoying good relation with Iran. We are trying to basically, you know, develop good relation with Iran, because we have also concerned Iranian, they have also concern, because we have more, you know, we are more towards Saudi Arabia and these kind of things. And then secondly, you asked about the negotiations and peace, Houthis and Iran. Iran never wanted war. They never claimed, they never said, because on the suffering and only Iran, they are basically suffering. Their people, their masses, they are. Iran is having huge resources, natural resources, but you see that they are living in isolation. It's been more than 3 decades. Of course. So how could they be utilizing those natural resources or other resources? They can earn lots of money, they can develop their economy without peace. They are very much desperate that there should be negotiations, there should be peace in the region, and specifically if we talk about Iran. So I guess Iran, it's a good omen, I must say, but the states or the major powers, they have to build the trust of Iran, that they won't face such kind of, if they are going to cut a deal with anyone, they are going to start a negotiation with the Houthis or even with the Saudi Arabia. So the others say they should not sabotage those relations. So this is very important.
Should sabotage these talks.
Absolutely.
Because they become very important.
And one thing you asked a question about Afghanistan peace, and you said that he tweeted, and then, you know, we were so happy that after 20 years, we are going to see peace in this region. You know, Pakistan suffered a lot, and within no time we saw that there was a tweet that they are not going to make any deal with the Afghan Taliban. And you know, one thing is now a vacuum is created, and someone has to fill that vacuum. And those Taliban, 3 days back, they went to China. Now China is playing its role. It means I must say that this was a huge mistake on part of Americans. Now they are looking towards China, and China is going to play an important role.
For the US, is the Afghan peace process a lost opportunity?
Yes, it is a lost opportunity, because now who's going to give them the confidence, because there is a trust deficit now. Again, a trust deficit. The reason is, you know, like President Trump, if he would have done it in a different way, it would have been much more easier for the people to understand that. But the way he has suspended it, even Pentagon was surprised. Even the other, you know, Mike Pompeo and others, they didn't know that President Trump is going to straight away tweet and going to let the world know that he is suspended just before, hours before signing the deal. I understand that. But the thing is, like Prime Minister Imran Khan is emphasizing on only one thing, that this peace process or this dialogue must resume again. And he is very hopeful from the end of Pakistan end, and they are very hopeful that yes, we can bring into some agreement between USA and Taliban, and then Taliban will be able to, because there is only one point, that Afghan government is emphasizing on one point, that Taliban are not willing to talk to them about the peace process or any deal. But the Pakistan point of view is that let's divide this whole peace process in two stages. Stage one, let USA and Taliban sit on and agree on an agreement. Once they are agreed, then we can mediate between Afghan government and Taliban.
But you know, this brings me to the current mediation between Iran and the US. Now, if these talks are stalled and there's a precedence, and that is why I'm sure Iran must have a lot of questions when Imran Khan must have asked Hassan Rouhani Saab for these mediation talks between Iran and the US. Do you feel that certain measures now will be required from the USS's part in order to build that confidence in Iran to come to the negotiating table?
Yes, because when President Trump suspended that deal with nuclear deal from Iran, the whole of Europe was against it. It's not only the Iran was surprised, the rest of the Europe was surprised as well, because that was a long going, at Barack Obama's time, that was a long going process when they brought that deal into effect. Now, I believe that once they bring the Iran on the terms to talk about it, they would need some kind of assurance, maybe from maybe from Pakistan, maybe from Europe, maybe from. I would say one more thing, that I don't think that Pakistan's relations are always not very good with Iran. No.
All right.
We have up and down with Iran relations. We have oil, gas, pipeline with them. We, on their part, they have completed it. On our part, we delayed it for many political reasons and pressure from America. We do understand that. But still, Iran has given us extra 5 years now, instead of going into court and putting some kind of fine on us or anything. So we do understand that Iran wants, as much as we want good relations with our neighbors, Iran wants good relations with his neighbors as well, that we are equally neighbor with each other. And now, this time, Iran is saying only one thing, that the sanctions which you have put on us, they are the maximum isolation you could do with it. Which is, as the matter of fact, which is the fact, that even they are putting the sanctions on sending the medicines and other equipments to Iran, right? At this level of sanctions, there is nothing much can be done against Iran. And this is the thing America needs to understand, that America needs to dialogue, and there is no need to escalate the region with a war or anything. There is only one possibility, and that is to dialogue. Saudi Arab will understand that even the Yemen war has gone too long. They need to close that. They need to stop that. And there is we have seen a humanitarian crisis in Yemen because of what is happening there. So this is the time when there must be a concrete peace dialogue for that region as well. And I can see there is a big role from Pakistan to play there. And once that will be ended, I hope that world will appreciate, not like past, that they never appreciated Pakistan's role in so many different international issues where we mediate. So this is the issue where we must be appreciated by the whole world.
Dr. Musarrad, which brings me, we're talking about dialogue, we're talking about mediation, we're talking about the peace process, we've talked about Afghanistan, and of course this current is very important between Iran and the US, because it's very important for the region to be stabilized. But you can't talk of regional stability without not stabilizing the relations between Pakistan and India, and not stabilizing what is going on in Indian occupied Kashmir. That is, the crux, that is how should I say, the core issue that needs to be handled very quickly, very urgently. That is what our Prime Minister Imran Khan has been emphasizing on and on in all the fora, with all the organizations, with all the leaders. Now, seeing that Donald Trump has time and again, 3-4 times said that he is ready to mediate as far as India and Pakistan are concerned, but only if both leaders are willing. But it's already something that we see as a very bleak future because India does not want to come to the negotiating table, does it?
I'm not hopeless. Well, I mean, everyone, they have their own perception.
Yes.
But one thing, let me tell you that when we study about foreign policy, we have three things. We talk about perception, cognition, and then personality. I think there are three things missing in case of Donald Trump and Prime Minister Modi. So I won't say if President Trump time and again, over and again, he's saying that he's going to play a mediator. First he said that I'm ready to play because Prime Minister Modi, he asked me
yes.
that.
And
so,
that was
and the
refuted.
Second, yes, and that was, of course, that was refuted. And then second time he said that if both the countries, they want, then I can mediate. But I must say, this is my personal opinion, that United States is not a trustworthy broker. So we should not emphasize
then
on this
who's a
thing.
broker? Who's a trustworthy broker?
There are several resolutions in United Nations. You can ask the United States that they can influence. You have China, and you can, China already reformed that they will support you in United Nations, and they are already, they have stakes. And
but you know, always remember that in the Security Council you've got the United States that can veto any resolution that is passed as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but we have seen in the case of Israel many times, they have vetoed so many resolutions against state of Palestine when it was, so it is a history of America being vetoed so many, you know, resolutions.
So what will happen this time in
But
the United
Pakistan
Nations?
has to set a stance because this is not going to be the solution of Kashmir, and Prime Minister is focusing. Basically, he is there for Kashmir. He said that he's an ambassador of Kashmiri people. It's been 52 days that people, they are locked down. And
can
he
you
said
imagine
this
that
is
it's the longest ever
lockdown
Yes,
in the history, I guess. Yes, and they are not having access. Basically, this is human rights, basic rights of human rights, the violation of basic rights of human rights, and then the world is not paying attention, and they are taking it very light. And Prime Minister time and again, he's emphasizing and he's saying that if you want speak and you want intervene, it could be a huge crisis between both the states who are nuclear powers.
But even in the United Nations General Assembly, Hamid Khan Sahab, President Erdogan, the Turkish president, really spoke. I think he was the only leader who spoke well and who spoke about the Kashmir issue. He said 72 years have passed since this issue is prevailing. 8 million people are under lockdown. We need to do something about it.
A few days ago, I was saying the same, that there must be some other leaders should mention and should clearly alarm the India and alarm the situation. And I would appreciate President Erdogan for that. And I was very much hopeful for that as well. And he very clearly said what is right, what is happening there. And I must say that Prime Minister Imran Khan, his all visit is based on to make the world alarm the situation. That he said he rightly said in his press conference that he do understand there are financial interests or trade interests of so many countries, and that's why they are not clearly like saying everything against or the situation or what's happening here. But he said that the world needs to understand that this is a conflict between two nuclear states. If anything happens, God knows what will happen in the end.
Exactly, and it's not just the two countries that will be affected, the whole region and beyond will be affected.
And where their trade will go. If anything happens there, if there is any misadventure happens, it will be loss of the humankind. You know, like it is. Prime Minister Imran Khan is emphasizing only one thing, that its Kashmir issue is not a bilateral issue. It's at the moment, it's a humanitarian issue.
Exactly.
It's the issue of 8 million people.
And it's an issue that has been pending with the United Nations since decades.
Yes,
exactly, and he so rightly said that if this situation would have happened with even with 80 persons has been curfewed or anywhere, 8 Americans would have been in this situation, the whole world would have reacted differently. Why not for Kashmiris?
Yes, exactly.
He's explained the situation so well. The only thing is, this is something which needs to be repeated again and again.
But isn't it being repeated enough by our government? But what about the other leaders, Dr. Musarrat? We've heard Erdogan speak about it, but what about the other leaders?
Yeah, this was the basically case when Prime Minister, he was speaking to the conference and he said that I'm disappointed.
Oh, I see.
Yes. I don't know, recently the press conference, he I guess yesterday or day before yesterday, he said that I'm disappointed from the the word because they are not speaking, because 8 million people they are in open jail in Kashmir. And he said that what is the purpose of United Nations? That was very important question he raised during that press conferences, and answering one of the journalists he asked. He said League of Nations failed, and if now United Nations is failed to resolve this issue, that is very, both the states, they are nuclear power. Time and again we are emphasizing, even Prime Minister is saying, he is saying that if we return the pilot, don't mistakenly even think about it, that was just a, that was just
weakness
of us,
and
we are just trying to avoid war. Once it is initiated, it would not be in the hands of anyone who can stop it. So he raised a question that what is the purpose or role of United Nations basically. He is emphasizing time and again that the world leaders, they should speak about this. And if they are not taking that as a part of that, this is part of between both the states, that is, this is a conflicting issue, they should think about those humans. There is a humanitarian crisis basically, 52 days, nobody is going there. Medicines are not available, international media is not allowed to work. Absolutely, nobody.
He has given a very clear example of Bosnia, what happened there. And it took a few months for the world to understand that what's happening there. Thousands and hundreds of thousands of Muslims
but in Kashmir, they can't afford to wait that long.
And that's the thing world needs to understand. This is a 71 years ongoing issue between Pakistan and India. 30 years of continuous liberation struggle by the Kashmiris. And Pakistan is not going to step back at any stage, at any way. Pakistan is always with Kashmiris, and this is the time when Pakistan is alarming the world that if nothing will happen, then there will be the situation will escalate and there will be no end to this. So world needs to intervene. World needs to understand that this is not going to resolve unless they bring India to the terms.
All right, let's talk about India, Dr. Musarrat. Let's talk about a diplomatic battle, let's put it that way, between Pakistan and India as far as the Kashmir issue is concerned. On one hand, we continuously talk about Pakistan's stance, and Pakistan is very rightly portraying and forcefully portraying all that is happening across the Indian occupied Kashmir region. But at the same time, you see that India is very cleverly playing as well. You saw the Howdy Modi convention that happened. There were about 15 to 20,000 protesters outside as well from different ethnicities who were present protesting. But inside there were around 50,000 Indian Americans that were also cheering Modi and cheering Donald Trump. And Donald Trump came to that. I mean, I don't understand when on one hand Donald Trump says he wants to mediate between Pakistan and India. He knows the situation in Indian occupied Kashmir. Despite that, he goes and rallies. I mean, I know he's in election mode. But then, you need to kind of also work for human rights, because that should be one of the points, and that will be one of the points that will be discussed when the election campaign goes on.
This is what I said, that United States is not a trustworthy, broker. So we should not invite them that they should be mediating between India and Pakistan. Basically, Pakistan is playing very nicely, and Pakistan is successful if you see on diplomatic front, and then its foreign policy. If you are talking about that in the hall, the people, how many people they were present, and they were cheering, and then President Trump was there. And did you see that outside?
Yes.
They were not only Kashmiris or Pakistanis.
No. They were people from different ethnicities. They were Americans. They were Indians as well who were outside.
Civil society was there who are really concerned about Kashmir. The people who are in open jail, we must say, and it's been 52 days they are not coming out, and communication is absolutely. And even the political leadership, we don't know about it, who were basically pro-Indian. We didn't see even that they are coming out. And Prime Minister rightly said that when that curfew would be lifted or they will come out, that what kind of response you can see. Might be they are trying to tie them up, that they should be tied, and they just they beg for their not even basic their rights, but they say let us live in this world, and they won't do anything. But if they come and they retaliate, that would be really a dangerous for whole world. And this region specifically, we are trying for peace.
Whenever the curfew is going to lift it, that Prime Minister Imran has warned again and again, that whenever the curfew is going to lift it, there will be a big reaction on the streets.
There will be definitely,
and there is no one to blame.
The world needs to see and realize that very well. Hamid Khan Sahab, Dr. Musarrat Sahaba, we'll just take a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned right here.
Well, this is the news just in. Chief of Army Staff General Qamar Javed Bajwa visited the earthquake-affected areas of Azad Jammu and Kashmir and was overlooking on the ongoing damage repair efforts that are taking place at Jatlan Canal Road. Well, this is the news just in. Chief of Army Staff General Qamar Javed Bajwa visited earthquake-affected areas of Azad Jammu and Kashmir and was onlooking on the repair efforts at Jatlan Canal Road. Earlier, when the earthquake of 5.8 magnitude struck, Chief of Army Staff extended support to the Pakistani military and directed immediate rescue operation in aid of the civil administration for victims of the earthquake in Azad Jammu and Kashmir. He said that normalcy be restored with speed, rendering full assistance to civil administration. Chief of Army Staff General Qamar Javed Bajwa visited earthquake-affected areas in Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Well, this was the news just in. As Chief of Army Staff General Qamar Javed Bajwa visited the earthquake-affected areas and was overseeing the repair efforts that were taking place at Jatlan Canal Road. Well, that was the update. Now we'll bring you back to the show hosted by Omer Khalid on World Today.
Welcome back. You're watching World Today, and we're talking about the mediation efforts, whether it be by Prime Minister Imran Khan as far as the tension between the US and Iran is concerned, or the mediation offered by Donald Trump to mediate between India and Pakistan. Now, Dr. Musad, you said you cannot really rely upon Donald Trump because he might change at any time, as we saw in the convention that he hosted together with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India. And he, of course, was saluting him and patting him on the back. And also we saw when they talked together at the presser after their one-on-one talks also, there was a lot of praise from Donald Trump, and there was no mention of what was happening in Indian-occupied Kashmir. Do you feel this is also going to be reflected in the speeches of other important world leaders like that of the European Union?
I don't think so, because every state, they have their own foreign policy, they have their own direction. So it is not, because this was just a moment that President Trump and United States and India, they have economic interest with each other, and we all know that India wanted to basically put tariff duties and other stuff on the United States. The things were coming, and this is what I guess President Trump wanted, that relief, one thing, and second, I guess that the Indian vote bank which is there in the United States, he wants to capture basically that. India is a huge economy.
But there's a lot of question marks that have come on the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well, because a lot of circles have said, why did he openly support an election campaign of a president, of another president?
There's one more thing we need to see, that as we have seen President Trump's, we can't rely. Next day when he met with Imran Khan, he said clearly that he's the one he was looking forward to meet in this session.
This is what we call international relations, basically. So states, they have their own interests.
But the problem, I would say, that it's not about the Trump, it is the status. He's the president of the United States. So United States intervene in dialogues is must, and that is what Pakistan is trying to impose, or trying to explain the world that it is a bilateral issue, but at this time the world needs to intervene.
But Hafiz sir, we have seen that United States,
I mean,
we cannot rely on the personalities. Basically, if we want, we can ask them that in the United Nations they can play their role.
Because what is happening here is there is no chance of dialogue between India India and Pakistan directly unless they lift the curfew and reverse the revocation of Article 370.
Well, I don't know whether that would happen or not,
Exactly.
but that will only happen if there's enough pressure on India.
Basically, Omer, this is what I want. This
Yeah.
is what I want, that they should pressurize them, that at least they should lift the curfew and let them move in, let them come to the life. The people, they are not living hell.
Things
This is,
one
you know,
step at a time.
yeah.
As
I'm
we
talking
say.
about the personality. See, Donald Trump, he is not reliable. And when he came to Prime Minister, and he was, you know, he was apparently, we could see that he was distant from those statements when he was having press conference with the Prime Minister.
Track record.
So,
this is his track record, unfortunately.
So this is what I want, that
he lives the moment. He lives the moment.
All
Whosoever
right.
he will.
All right. But what we are going to live in the moment is on the 27th, when both the Indian and the Pakistani Prime Ministers will be addressing this August gathering, because that is going to be a very important day and a decisive day on how the Indian Prime Minister talks and how our Prime Minister also talks to the August, and how they react to all of that, because it's not just what we say or what they say, it's how the world body reacts to all of that. That will be very important. Speaking of talking and speaking of what has been happening, something on the sideline is also happening in the United States, the impeachment move of US President Donald Trump by the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi concerning the Ukraine issue, when it comes to Joe Biden and his son and the involvement and how he's intervened in all of that. Let's begin with you, Dr. Musarrat. How do you see this impeachment? Because each of the 6 committees, whether it be Judiciary, Intelligence, Ways and Means, Financial Services, Oversight, Foreign Affairs, all will be looking into this. Is this going to be an important impeachment procedure, because this is only the 3rd time in US history that an impeachment is happening?
Well, first let me say that President Trump is not taking it as serious as he should, and he said this is a kind of witch hunt. He stated it.
Yes.
Yeah. And second thing is that I really appreciate the system United States has internally, check and balance. But if a person or a president, which is a very responsible, you know, position, and he's trying to influence some of the leaders, or he's trying to influence anyone in the world, and there are check and balances, he could be impeached, and it's a serious matter. Donald Trump should take it serious, but he's not taking it. You know, in the history only, as you mentioned, that
Bill
twice
Clinton
it
was
happened.
the
Bill
last
Clinton,
time
and
when
I
there was
guess
an
that
impeachment
Andrew
inquiry.
Johnson, 1868, I guess.
Exactly.
So they were impeached. So I'm not sure if impeachment is going to be happen, but at least there are check and balances. That if someone
The
is trying to
impeachment
meddle
inquiry, is
with
it going to
something,
put pressure, Hamid Khan Saab, on the US President?
Not much.
he is
because
not
the
going to
reason
take
is-
pressure.
The reason is the Republican have majority in Senate, right? And the impeachment process cannot be completed, or it cannot be, you know, it cannot be impeachment unless the Republican or the Senate says with majority. And that is what the confidence Trump has got in the back of his mind, that there is no way that this impeachment process can be successful, because Republicans have very strong hold in the Senate. And second thing is that she's right, exactly. There was 3-4 incidents when they wanted to start impeachment process against President Trump in last 2-3 years as well. We have seen in different occasions, but nothing could happen even at the time when they said that Russia has intervened and he has asked help to Russia
This
to
is
help
why he's very
in
confident.
the election, and that didn't happen. So I don't think so that this impeachment would be successful.
If that didn't happen, so you see, even this time you feel the inquiry isn't going to reap the results that Democrats want.
No, only thing is, it will, yes, there will damage the upcoming elections and the campaign of the President Trump to re-elect. That is the only.
All right.
effect
How
we can
damaging
see.
is it going to be for the re-election of Donald Trump? It's happening next year.
Yeah.
Basically, people of United States, when first time President Trump he came into power, that was my I published an opinion article as well. People they were more supporting Hillary Clinton, and they were saying that. But my gut feeling and the history, when I saw the and I had the observation of people of United States, I was just saying that they are going to select Donald Trump, and because people, they were jobless, they wanted job, and they were eyeing him as a businessman who can invest and who can provide them jobs.
But
so that is a separate
because Dr.
thing.
Musarrat, if you see even his speech in the United Nations General Assembly, he said that he wants to bring all the jobs back in the US.
And
His
but
stance
one
against
thing,
immigrants and all that, which encourages the local people, you know, it attracts the white supremacists and other voters to vote for him.
Exactly.
But
So
Omer,
that is the strength of him in other states.
Yes, Dr. Musarrat.
but he was not having a good repute already when he was campaigning his election campaign, and you know, all the history, and we know the past and his character. But now he's in power, he's doing everything, and he's making them realize for United States that I'm doing for you,
for the people of the
yeah,
US.
this is for, he said that
And
United
this has
States
worked
comes
for him.
first.
This has worked in his favor
Yeah,
in the
so
past as well.
people, they did not see his past and his personal character. They saw him as a job provider, and he is going to boost their economy. And I think so, if he's going to election again, might be he's going to win.
One phrase from each of you, starting from you, Dr. Musarrat. Do you feel this impeachment process inquiry is going to hamper his re-election campaign in any manner?
I don't think so.
All right, Hamid Khan Sahab.
It would, I think so. It would be not much, but we can say that it will be a tough election. Coming election would not be easy for President Trump to win.
All right.
That is for sure.
But that impeachment, this kind of, this process is not going to happen.
All right. Dr. Musarrat Amin, Hamid Khan Sahab, thank you very much to have joined us. Ladies and gentlemen, we talked about interesting and important topics of the day. Of course, the mediation that has been asked by Imran Khan Sahab as far as US-Iran relations are concerned. Also, the mediation that Donald Trump himself has offered between Pakistan and India, and the impeachment inquiry on Donald Trump. How is all that going to fold? Only the next couple of days are going to let us know about that, especially as far as Pakistan-India relations are concerned. The two important speeches on the 27th by the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and then followed by our Prime Minister Imran Khan. Let's wait and watch. Allah Hafiz.